So one of the things that we need to do, or I had to do, I should say, was I had to go through and make a couple of adjustments to the topology in order to remove any of the route reachability that was in play beforehand. So let me go ahead and show you exactly what I mean by this. If I come over here to LBM1, one of the things that I was able to do from LBM1 and DC to LBM1 was I was able to ping LBM3 from that's in DC1 from DC to LBM1. So that means that the traffic from LBM1 in DC2 was able to hit its Edge Services Gateway, hit the CSR 1000V. Actually, instead of just trying to explain it to you, let me just go ahead and show you what I did. Or walk you through the logic real quick of what I had to turn off in order for this to work. So kind of redrawing what we did before. We have the CSR, we have an ESG that we're connected to that connects down to a logical switch, which is going to be 172.29.101.0/24. Over here we have the Edge Services Gateway that connects to the DLR, that connects to a logical switch that is 172.29.1.0 and 172.29.2.0. Right, these were reachable. Now this right here, this logical segment, this logical switch, had OSPF turned on it, meaning that OSPF was advertising this particular prefix outbound. The CSR 1000V was learning this prefix in its routing table. Now the DLR is connected to the ESG and we're running BGP over here. So this is a BGP peering set up between these two. And what I had to do is on the DC1 DLR, I had to turn off BGP connected redistribution. So what ends up happening is these prefixes right here and these prefixes right here are no longer reachable through the network, which is going to force us to set up a site-to-site VPN between our Edge Services Gateway, and this will be IPsec once we get it all configured and operational. So just to hash that back out, you can see that where I've got OSPF on DC2 ESG1, you can see that I'm not running OSPF on the logical switch. Go ahead and clear the screen off real quick. If I wanted to add any devices, I could choose the logical switch here to make that happen. Now if I back this up a little bit, and from the drop down I go back to standalone on the first guy, and I go to the DLR, and I go to routing, and then into route redistribution, you can see BGP redistribution is turned on, but I'm not actually advertising anything down here. Before, I did have BGP as the learner protocol, and I said connected. I had turned this off. So I deleted that specific entry in the table here, which was on by default. And once I did that, I come back over here to my CSR 1000V, and all of my 172.29 routes are gone. Before, it looked like this. Before I disabled all this, I had all these routes showing up. I had the 101 prefix, which is coming from DC2, and I had the 172.29 1 and 2 routes coming from DC1. And then as soon as I got rid of my BGP advertisement, it went ahead and got rid of that advertisement. So then I was left just with 101. And then I went and I turned off OSPF on the DC2 Edge Services Gateway, and that got rid of that. So I have no longer do I have any reachability to those prefixes. Now if I was to pull up my Edge Services Gateway, so this is my one-armed load balancer. I'm going to go ahead and close him out. I'm going to look over here at this guy. This is the ESG. I'm going to go ahead and close him out. If I look right here, I have this is my vCenter server. I was doing some troubleshooting with him. This is my NSX manager. I'm going to go ahead and close him out. And if I open this guy up here, I have DC2 ESG1, right? If I do a show IP route from this guy here, I no longer see the 172.29 routes. I see my local prefix, right? And I should be able to, from here, I should be able to ping to 10.10.0.2. And I can. Now I'm also going to go ahead and pull up my DC1 ESG. I'll open him up like so. Give him a second to go out there and find his way. Might take it a second to find it. DC1. Not sure why that's not pulling up. But because I have reachability back and forth, it is working. So I can ping it. That's the main thing. Let me go back over here to this guy and pull up the ESG. And just pull up the web console. Click on OK. Let me do a show IP route. So we should not see the 172.29.101 route, which we don't. We see the 11 route, which is used to connect me from my DLR to my Edge Services Gateway. So what I'm going to come over here and do is I am going to set up a VPN. We're going to start on DC1, since I'm on DC1, which is 10.0.0.21 on the Edge Services Gateway. I'm going to go, and the first thing I'm going to do is on this guy here, I'm going to do a show question mark, and it's going to be IPsec. Sorry, that's not the one I'm looking for. I want to do a show service, and it's going to be service, and it's going to be IPsec, and then I'm going to have a bunch of options. I'm just going to do show IPsec. IPsec currently isn't running. Okay, so on this guy right here, on DC1 Edge Services Gateway 1, I'm going to go over to VPN and IPsec VPN. Now, in the global configuration, I'm going to need click on the edit, and I'm going to have to give this a pre-shared key. The pre-shared key is going to be a piece of information that both edges are going to use to authenticate each other. So I'm just going to put in here VMware 123, something very simple. I'm going to go ahead and copy that so that I have it for later. I'm going to click on save. Then I need to come in here and advertise or define a site. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to add a VPN site, and I need to define some variables. The name is going to be DC1 to DC2 IPsec VPN. The site will be enabled. The tunnel configure, the local ID here will be 10.10.0.2. The local endpoint will be the same, 10.10.0.2. The local subnet will be 172.29.1.0/24. And it said subnet should be entered in CIDR format with a comma as a separator. So it's going to be 172.29.2.0/24. That's how they're looking for it. The peer ID is going to be 10.10.1.2. The peer endpoint can be anybody. So I'm going to go ahead and just put in here 10.10.1.2. The peer subnet is going to be 172.29.101.0/24. Then I have to come up here to tunnel configuration. What are we going to be using for our options? Compliance, I'm not going to be using any specific entrance here. We're going to use Ike version 1 because it's the lightest weight I can use. SHA-1 is the lightest algorithm. And the reason I keep on saying lightest is because the more secure algorithms you use, the stronger digest or the stronger encryption, that's going to be more processing power on your VPN endpoints, which means it could affect your performance on your VPN endpoints. So we have all that going for us. And if we click on advanced, there's some other things like perfect forward secrecy. I'm actually going to turn that off. And responder only, if you wanted to make like a hub out of one of your VPN endpoints, it responds to only remote locations. Let's say you have an HQ data center or a main data center that you're going to be terminating VPNs on, and you have a bunch of locations that are remote and you want to do that, that is an option for you if you want to do so. I'm going to click on add, and I'm going to go ahead and publish. I'm going to click on start and publish. So that's going to do its thing. I'm going to give that a couple seconds to push its config. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click in here and do a show service. Question mark will be IPsec and hit the enter key. We can see that IPsec is working. Now, if we look right here, we can see the subnets that we're going to be pointing towards and all that good stuff that goes along with it. And I will circle back, and right now we have two sites that are 2 down, right? And that makes sense. Come back over here to this guy. I'm going to take this a step back. I'm going to go to standalone, and I'm going to switch over to the other Edge Services Gateway. I'm going to go to ESG1, click on VPN, and then I'm going to go to Edit Global Config. I'm going to paste in my pre-shared key, click on Save. Because that's a global config, it's going to apply to all of my VPN endpoints. I could be more specific, but I'm not going to be. I'm going to add a VPN site. The name is going to be DC1 to, I'm sorry, this will be DC2 to DC1 IPsec VPN. The local ID is going to be 10.10.1.2. The local endpoint again is going to be the same value again, and then the local subnet is going to be 172.29.101.0/24. The peer ID is going to be 10.10.0.2. I'm going to just repeat that again. It's going to be 10.10.0.2, and the peer subnets are going to be 172.29.1.0/24 and 172.29.2.0/24. I'm going to go over here to tunnel configuration, and we're going to just use the defaults. Remember, under advanced, we need to make sure that we disable perfect forward secrecy. If every one of these attributes is good or the same, it means our VPN is going to form. I'm going to go ahead and click on add, and I'm going to start the service and then publish. And it says invalid PSK. Okay, so let me go ahead and close that out. Let me go see what I have configured as my hide pre-shared key. So we have VMware 123 and save. So now it's visible. I'm going to go ahead and publish. Invalid pre-shared key. Okay, what did I... Let me jump back here and see what I did on this guy. VPN, VMware 123. Okay, so it's the same across the board. That's weird that it's giving me a hard time. Oh, it got rid of everything. Okay, let me go ahead and I can define it underneath the VPN itself. So I'll go ahead and add here. We'll say DC2 to DC1 IPsec VPN. Local ID is going to be 10.10.1.2, 10.10.1.2, 172.29.101.0/24. Peer ID is 10.10.0.2, 10.10.0.2, 172.29.1.0/24, and 172.29.2.0/24. Tunnel configuration, and the pre-share key here will be, and we're going to say VMware 123, and click on add, and we're going to start the service and then publish. Alright, there we go. So now it's good to go. I'm going to hit the up arrow, come back over here to this guy, and now we are, and the status is up. So the VPN looks like it's operational. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger for you guys to see. Let me go to change settings, appearance, change the font to be like a 14 so that it's a little easier for you guys to see. And I'm going to go ahead and apply that. There we go. That's way easier to see. So we can see, there we go. Everything looks good except for we have 2 up and 2 down. Like version 1 sent could be service site disabled. Okay. That's weird. Let me go ahead and do a SA and see what I have. No queries sent. So let me just make sure that my config is correct. So we'll do a little bit of troubleshooting. Let me jump back over here to this guy, onto Edge2, VPN. We're going to go ahead and just edit this config real quick. Make sure that everything's correct. Everything looks right. Tunnel configuration. Pre-shared key is correct. Everything looks good there. Cancel. And that's a little bit weird. Show statistics. Tunnel state is disabled. Unknown. Okay, so that's a little bit weird. I'm not sure why we're having it disabled, why we're getting something to show up as disabled. Let me go ahead and try to send some traffic. Let's see if that'll work. Let me come back over here to this guy, and on DC2 LBM1, I'm going to do a type in the password and to connect, and then we're going to try to ping to 172.29.2.12, and we're going to let that just ping. Cool thing about it is it's a consistent ping. So we'll be able to come back over here to this guy and see what the problem is. So we have Ike version 1 is good. So we sent a connection. So it's like, it doesn't like the fact that we're going to have two tunnels. So it says site 10.10.1.2, which is going to be DC2, connecting 172.29.101.0/24 to 10.10.02 to 172.29.2.0/24. So this is what you're trying to reach. Or I'm sorry, in this case here, this is our side. This is what we're trying to reach, and this is how we're going to get there, is what this is saying. The peer IP is this, the local IP is this, so phase 1 is up. So let's look at the site information. So Y is, tunnel is, IPsec SA is down. Alright, so one thing I could do is, let me go back over here to the NSX edges, and I will edit this config, and I will, on the advanced tab, I will click on the PFS and save that, publish, and then I will jump over to DC2 and throw that in there as well. It's on for, it's a default feature, but normally I don't run it. So let's just see if that makes a difference. Edit, and then we're going to come over here to advanced and then turn. Oh, that's why it's not working. Okay, so I was a dork and I forgot to, one side it was up, one side was, so PFS was down on one side and up on the other. So we're going to go ahead and cancel. We're going to go to show statistics, and our VPNs should both be up, and they are. I was a klutz. We can all admit it. So I'm going to hit the up arrow, and now we should all be up. Excellent. So we're good to go. One had PFS turned on, the other side did not. So I should be able to come back over here, and we should be able to ping from one side to the other. That is our ultimate goal, is to send pings. Now if I come over here and I do a show IPsec SA, and I look at the information that's being sent, we can see that we don't have any traffic going back and forth. Currently the VPN is not passing traffic, essentially. So let me go over here to show statistics. And the VPN's up. Not sure why it's giving me a hard time. Let me go over to here, and let me just make sure that WinVM1 is on the right subnet, and he is. So I should be able to, theoretically, come over here, and I should be able to ping 172.29.1.15. Let me go and do an ifconfig, and let me ping my gateway. Let me ping 172.29.101.1. Okay, I can ping that. Let me ping 10.10.0.2. Yep, so that's, can I ping 10. Let's try to ping Google. Okay, so why is this not working? 101. What am I missing? So my local subnet is 172.29.101. My peer subnets are 172.1 and 2, which is double check our config. This is where bouncing back and forth. So I have the control plane working, but the data plane is not operational, and that is problematic. So I have my local subnets 172.29.1, 172.29.2. Okay, local peers 10.0. So I know everything looks like it should be working. So why is it not? So let's go from ESG. Can I look at... Why is this not working? I'm actually legit not sure. Let's look at the stats for the IPsec, which is going to be my phase 1 piece. Okay, so I've got one packet with wrong IPsec SPI. Let's look at my SA. And I can see that this side here is sending traffic. I'm sending traffic across. I'm going from DC2 to DC1 here, and I'm going from DC2 to DC1 here. Let me try it in the reverse order. Let me come over here, and we're going to log into LVM3. And we're going to go ahead and ping 172.29.101.11. And that is not working. Okay, let's try to come back over here. Let's bust out of that real quick. Come back up, hit the up arrow, and we can see that traffic is trying to go bidirectional. We're trying to go from 2, and I sent 6 packets out, but no responses. So I'm actually kind of perplexed that it's not working. Let me see what this guy says. We do here, we'll say stats for IPsec, and everything looks good there. Let's go back this up a little bit and do SA. So I have traffic coming back. Okay, everything looks good. From an operations perspective, everything's looking okay. What I could try to do, let me go back over here, is on this guy here, let's do a clear. I might have to go to enable mode. Enable. Let's go in here and type in clear. Let's see, clear service IPsec. And we're going to, I'm going to take down the VPN completely. I'll say IPsec and the ID, actually, let me show crypto, or so, sorry, show service IPsec. We're going to do SA, and I will grab an SA. The SPI, or the ID that it's referencing, is this guy right here, this SPI. So I'm going to go ahead and, where's that clear command? Clear service IPsec, IPsec SA, and then the ID. The IPsec ID is this guy right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab this guy right here. And I can go out and clear actually all of them, because we have multiple SAs. And clear that one. Unable to terminate, child not found. Let me back this up and type IPsec ID. Let me look at the stats. SA not found for packet. So what I'm going to actually, you know what, instead of trying to do it from the CLI, let me just do it this way. I'm going to stop it on both sides, and I'll re-trigger it. Let me do that. So by stopping it, that should trigger it to redo its thing. And let me go ahead and start it again on both sides. And publish. All right, so by trying this, hopefully this will resolve our issue. All right, so I'll pull this back up. We'll do a show. We'll do a show service IPsec. Okay, they're both up. Let's try this again. Let me try to ping. Can I ping my default gateway? Let's do an ifconfig. Let me ping 172.29.2.1. Okay, I can ping my default gateway. Can I ping 172.29.11.1? Okay, I can't ping my DLR. Okay, I think I might have figured out the problem. So I think the problem exists with the fact that I turned off the BGP advertisement on DC1. I think that's the problem. I think what's happening here, if we were to look at the Edge Services Gateway, if I look at the routing, if I do a show IP route, I don't have the subnets in my routing table. I think that's the problem. So what I can do is I can configure a static route on here and point to it on the Edge Services Gateway. As you can see 101, right? There's a static route in the routing table to reach 172.29.101. I need to have a pointer on here. So if I'm trying to ping 172.29.1.15, right? And I can't ping it. So what I'm going to do on this guy here on ESG, I'm going to go to routing, and I'm going to go to static routing. I'm going to go ahead and say we have internal high, right? It's got this automatically installed static route. I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to say to reach 172.29.1.0/24. I'm going to go ahead. The next hop will be 172.29.11.2. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And I'm also going to add another one in here in order to reach 172.29.2.0/24. I'm going to point to 172.29.11.2. Click on add and publish both. Give that a couple seconds to do its thing. I'll push them down, because you need reachability from, let's try this again, show IP route. They're both there now. I can reach that. That's a good sign. But if I come back over here to this guy and I pull up this, I click inside of here. If I try to ping, there we go. Now it's working. So if I come over here, let me go ahead and come back to this guy. And I do the tunnel is up. If I do a show stats for SA, we're going to see that traffic is being passed equally, right? So that means if I come back over here to LBM1, and I try to ping, I should be able to ping the server, which I can. If I opened up Firefox, and I point to 172.29.1.15, I should be able to open that up over the web browser. So that'll take a couple seconds for it to open. I'll pause until it's opened. All right, so we're not really getting anywhere, and that makes sense because of what we're trying to do. I'm going to go ahead and just close this guy out and stop him trying to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in here 172.29.1.15, and IIS works. So over the VPN, traffic is working just fine, right? If I hit the up arrow, we can see a lot of data being sent back and forth right here. a lot of data going back and forth. So we know our IPsec VPN is working the way that we need it to. So just to recap what the problem that we ran into, whoops, is this. Let me try to find a, there we go. Here's a blank open area that I can draw on. So essentially what we were running into was this. I have an ESG, ESG1, let's say DC1 ESG, and then I have my DLR sitting southbound of it. I have my transit logical switch sitting here, and then down here I have two logical switches, right? I have 2.0 and 1.0 respectively. Up here I have a connection to the CSR 1000V, and down here I have a connection to DC2-ESG1, and then down here I have a connection down to my logical switch of 101.0/24, right? Now the problem that I was having was I was trying to ping from here to this guy and from here to this guy, and there's a VPN tunnel set up between these guys. That's an IPsec VPN. The VPN was up great. The problem was when I got to here, I got to my ESG, he looked in the routing table for the 1.0 and 2.0 networks and was like, they're not there. What do I do? I can't find them. So by turning off the BGP connected connections down here and turning off OSPF here, because I disabled the advertisements of the logical switches to the rest of the network, I wasn't able to reach anything. So what I ended up having to do was I created a static route for both of these guys to point downstream to the DLR, saying, hey, if you want to get to these subnets, point to the DLR. The DLR knows how to reach them. I didn't have to do that over here because the ESG is directly connected to the logical segments. But you need to have routing in place in order for this to work. And that's where I ran into the problem. I didn't think about that ahead of time because I wanted to make it as real world as possible, where we had to go over a transport of some type that would not have reachability between the sites automatically. And now that I have that in play, I'm able to reach what it is I'm trying to get to in this deployment, and it's working out pretty well. So that's where this stuff comes into play, where you kind of have to know how networking works behind the scenes in order for all this stuff to become operational the way you need it to be. So with that being said, I was able to identify the problem. I pretty much did it to myself, but I wanted to make it as real world as I could by disabling the advertisement of this subnet and these subnets down here, so that I would be forced to use the IPsec VPN in order to reach whatever it is I wanted to. That, ladies and gentlemen, is essentially what we had happen here. With that being said, I want to thank you guys for stopping by and hanging out with me in this video and talking about the IPsec site-to-site VPN capability on the ESGs. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and I'll catch all of you in the next video.